Welcome everyone. Simon here from the Wells of Wall Street. We have Verasity on our radar, VRA on the chart before we go into the awesome chart where we're seeing many assets flying right now. Let's take a look quickly at the Twitter page of Verasity because I want to point this out. Verasity on a number of occasions, many occasions, always picked usually in the top gainers of the day in majority of platforms that monitor and measure metrics of social media and of course movements of price in tokens as well. So Verasity have got a nice selection here over the last few days. Top 10 coins by alt rank in the last 6 hours. And we've also got in Lunar Crush, very popular platform for many to obtain rewards and things as well, but also measuring that indeed Verasity is on this list as well as a second place. Fantastic to see. And also here, top gainers of the day. I believe this one is via Crypto Dep, which is a very popular, again, a popular tracking system for the best gainers. So really good stuff here. Other than that, there's not major news coming out of Verasity in the last few days, so we're not going to cover too much of that. We did a video recently on the roadmap, particularly on this video here about 8 days ago, video on demand and things like that. So very exciting news that was to see that coming out. We covered the actual roadmap 2022 3 weeks ago. So if you have been following us on the channel over the last few weeks, you will indeed have seen the price points absolutely crazy. Let's go straight into that right now. You'll see here that I've drawn in the price range mode here. 88% increase from only a week ago. So congratulations to those that were with us fighting and accumulating on this very nice straight and narrow path here. Floating around roughly 1.7 to 1.8 cents, now flying to a high as of today, a high of 0.033. So a very cool move indeed. Not quite double, but certainly I will take that for sure. What am I looking at right now with Verasity? I'm not buying right now, albeit that I think Verasity is still a obscenely bargain price right now, under a 5 cent mark for sure. I'm just waiting for a little correction just in case. I'm just going to remove that out of the way for a second. So where are we going to come with Verasity right now? Well, I don't think we're out of the woods just yet in terms of all the charts here. Okay, that's just my opinion. I've seen it a few times, many times before, where we had a nice uptake. We've seen Bitcoin make some great moves over the last few days as well. And what tends to happen actually is Bitcoin then reduces itself and then the alts start bursting. So there could be a bit more movement here upwards anyway, but do probably anticipate some resistance around this sort of 3.6 cents mark. So it's not quite what we could get to today, 3.3. I would call that actually, to be fair, 3.4 cents pretty much. So it was knocking on the door of the previous high back here in January, and probably obviously nowhere near right now just yet over that 4 cent mark towards these longer term fib trace marks. But as you can see, we've very much touched upon this fib level here on the macro at 3.2. Now what's going to be interesting is if we can maintain around that area. At the moment we haven't. We took a wick upwards, couldn't quite make it, so it might mean that we retrace back down around about this 3 cents to 2.8 cents mark and maybe, just maybe, rally up again. But the other side of the coin, of course, for me, is what I always like to look out for, is if we may fail this support line here and drop back down to the lower levels again, around 203. So I'm going to put some buy orders in. I'll show you where I'm putting mine right now on my KuCoin account, if I can find the rectangle. There we go. So right now, at the moment, to be fair, it's quite an interesting buy point anyway in terms of the longevity of Verasity. Even in the short-term future of a couple of months, I'm sure this price point is very low. But for the argument's sake of me trying to find some good positions in lower regions, I'm slightly interested for sure roughly where it is now, but I'm going to put my efforts in terms of buying at opportunities at around 2.8 cents and possibly, just possibly, a lower region of 2.3 cents. I'm not saying it's definitely coming down to the areas, but that's of great interest to me. Why have I put those particular selections in place? Well, I like this area here. Back in the beginning of January, where we had 3 touch points. You see it's quite level there, so that's very much in line with this fib retracement level. So I'm going to try and capture a bit just slightly above that if we do retrace down. That might happen in the next 24 hours, and it might be a quick sweep back upwards, who knows. But that's where I'm interested. I'm also interested in the lower regions here, of which we tried many a time to try and push over the last couple of weeks before this nice uptake over the last 4 days. But it's something that when we came down was a nice sort of area of resistance. Not going to put one quite as low as here, bang on 2, but I would very be interested in definitely these lower regions. And also, as we said before, touching on these previous support levels back here in September 2021. This again is of great interest. It's very much in the middle mark, so I'd like to try and get 2 areas between that level. That's going to be a very interesting week, in my opinion, coming up for Verasity as well as many other projects. I think some profits are surely going to be taken, especially as we reach these previous regions back up here. I mean, that is very much going to signal the double position, and that's probably why we didn't see it get that far, because I think people were probably anticipating that pretty much everyone's going to be doubling their position from down here at 1.7, and perhaps anticipating that higher region. So very, very interesting indeed. We pretty much very nearly accurately hit that double mark, so it was just slightly under it in total, but very nice moves in regardless for Verasity. And looking at the RSIs here, of course we're in a buying pattern right now. The wave, it could complete in the next couple of days for sure. We had a nice swing over on the MACD. I'm quite liking that this isn't too wide a gap, so it's not gone absolutely mental, but it's done it nice and gradual. I do anticipate this maybe to swing over at some point in the next few days, not necessarily switch over in terms of the MACD to a bear mode, but more importantly about stabilization and trying to secure a new support line, because this is a very, very steep 14-day line moving up here right now and being repeated by the 28-day as well. The also the 90-day is doing a nice fluctuation upwards, which is all understandable because of the movements we've made. But what I can take from this is very steep. What happened the last few times this steep kind of move happened, we had a nice uptake and we had a nice bring down at the same time, mirroring it. So you may decide, potentially, not financial advice, but for me personally, because I was buying at those lower regions, I have put some sell orders in. I think they've come in anyway at these kind of markers. But some people may be anticipating that we might just have a small correction at some point, so that we can tally ourselves back up again. But that's what I'm doing regardless of that move. I'm just taking some profits, that double position that I've made in the last week, which is absolutely brilliant. Hopefully you guys are taking some advantages, or indeed enjoying the ride up that we're seeing here finally, after the depressing 3 months that we've seen, not just in this asset class but many others as well. But let us know in the comments below what you're doing with Verasity. Were you buying in these lower regions as we were doing in our previous videos? And are you taking any advantage of profits, or are you waiting a bit longer to see what happens? Really interested to know your moves for sure. And just to clarify as well before we jump off this video, weekly up 58%. Absolutely beautiful to see that big nice high green number. 1 month up 23%. This is extremely positive. Obviously it's taking into consideration mostly these last few days, of course, but this 3 months we've still got loads left in the tank, ready to try and get to new levels for Verasity for sure. We're for sure going to see as well some key resistance lines, which we will cover as we go further and further into the month of February, and I'm sure it's going to be a nice fun ride, that's for sure. But in the long term, as I've said many a time, Verasity is a long-term hold. I'm just very excited really to be purchasing Verasity under 5 cents, let alone 10 cents as well, at these crazy prices, because in the future, we rose up to a previous high back up here as well, of what was it, like nearly 9 cents, guys. Like, we've got a long way to go for those areas still, hopefully this year. But indeed, for the long run, I'm still anticipating at least a potential 21-cent price prediction. That's what I'm sticking with for the coming bull run, whenever that may be. Hopefully this year. 2,298% up on the year, so still strong there. And we've got the buy signal here on the radar now as well. So let's see how this plays out. But like I said, I do anticipate it dragging itself back potentially to that 3-cent mark or just slightly under. We do need to test that area probably once more at least before we can uptake ourselves, because otherwise we're going to have a nice drive upwards. We're just going to mirror it back, and it's an opportunity, of course, for people to take profits, absolutely. But I'm just being cautious of any buying modes right now. I'm more anticipating the sell-off at the moment. So guys, we'll wrap that up there. Like I said, let us know what you're doing with Verasity. Top project. We're looking forward to doing more of an overview of the roadmap in the next video in a couple of days' time. But until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.